Good morning, everybody, and happy Memorial Day to everybody in the United States. Today's topic, I was actually going to do something a little bit different, but um, I just had my whole hard drive crashed, and they put a new hard drive in my Mac, and so not all my software is working 100% correctly. So my movie making software, I can't do titles; it freezes every time. Got to figure out what that's about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk for a minute, and then I'm going to put some pictures at the end of some projects of different things that I've done with recovery. So I will have to just explain it, and I can't in words because I can't type anything because it's being messed up. So anyway, I'm going to talk about the three most important things that I've learned in recovery, and those are number one, that recovery is not a perfect process, that it's a journey, not an event. And so it's really easy and really tempting that when you are, especially in the beginning part of recovery, and you have a slip up or a relapse or something, to say, see, I'm not good at recovering, or I can't do it, and so I might as well give up. And the reality is, you're going to go through lots and lots of slip ups and relapses before you can get to a point where you may call yourself recovered, or some people call themselves or will say that they're in recovery for the rest of their lives, and that's kind of a personal thing. And then even later on, sometimes it can be difficult because you might have a time where you go through a long period of time that you're doing really, really well, and then for some reason you wake up and have a bad day, or something triggers you and you have a slip up and you think, oh well, I thought I was recovered and obviously I'm not capable of it, so I might as well give up. And so during those moments, you have to realize that that's normal. And instead of saying, look, I messed up, look at what brought you to that point and correct it. You can always correct it. It's not, a slip up is not, and relapses are not the end of the world. So that's the number one, I think, most important thing. Number two, honesty with yourself and others. It's really hard to be honest when you're, when some of the behaviors that you have are shameful, or you feel like that's a part of your identity. And because part of the recovery process is figuring out how to change your identity from somebody with an eating disorder to a healthy self-concept. A lot of times, especially for women as they get older, the eating disorder becomes more of an identity piece than it is about weight loss. And so it's hard. There's a huge grieving piece that comes with that. And so that's really difficult because you might go through grief. It might feel like a death. It might feel like you're losing a friend, and you may go through grief and then feel better for a while and then feel grief again. I mean, really, you go through the stages of grieving like you would if you lost somebody close to you. So understanding that that's normal, and but not lying about it, but being honest with the people around you, and being honest yourself, even when it's difficult. No, Nicole Hawkins, she's a clinical director over at the Center for Change, and she puts it this way, that I really like. And she says that she has a 24-hour honesty policy, that if you lie to somebody, if you're dishonest about a behavior, that you have 24 hours to correct it. And that's the model that they use there. So I kind of liked that. I thought that was a great idea. So honesty is number two. And then number three is always maintaining an awareness. And part of what you have to do, like I said, with the identity, is finding other things outside of yourself that you can identify with. That's kind of like the change process. For me, believe it or not, the thing that was probably, the one thing besides, talking to people, therapy, that was the one thing that really was a catalyst for my change, was actually running and becoming an ultramarathon runner. And it's not that I identify myself as, this great runner, because I'm not. I love to run. But the process of becoming a long distance runner, which is kind of controversial and kind of because some people use distance running as an eating disorder behavior, but learning how to change that activity from being eating disorder to being something that was healthy. It was a mindset shift, and that's what you have to realize, is that a lot of these things that we do, it's not necessarily bad, and it's, and I don't believe that people, once you had an eating disorder, that, oh, you can never run again, or you shouldn't do this because it'll be too triggering. I think, there might be, for a time when you're not medically stable and you might need to be monitored by a physician. I probably needed more monitoring than I had, but I didn't have those resources. I didn't know about them. Unfortunately, they actually were available like within an hour drive of me. There's some excellent athletic, sports physicians who deal with eating disorders who could have really helped me. I found a dietitian later on when I, mostly recovered, who has helped me significantly with my sports nutrition. And if I would have had those resources at the beginning, I think I would have recovered a lot faster. I struggled for a long time because I didn't have the knowledge about sports nutrition, because I didn't have the support, because every dietitian that I went to down here either wanted me to quit running or just, didn't know what to do with sports nutrition at all. They could tell me what was intuitive eating. So, follow your heart with your intuition and find an identity, find the one thing that drives you towards recovery. For me, it was running. And so when I started running more and more distance, when I ran my first marathon, I realized that if I really wanted to perform, if I really wanted to keep doing it without breaking down my body, without damaging my body, I had to start learning how to eat and start learning how to respect my body for what it could do, instead of hating my body all the time. And so it forced me to start talking positively about myself. When I ran my first 50-miler, especially, I had to stop with negative self-talk, and I had to start thinking positively. I had to start liking myself, because for me, it was like, I'm not going to get through this if I'm negative. And so for me, that was the one thing, was finding a different way to identify myself with besides an eating disorder. And that doesn't mean that it has never been difficult since then. It's been very difficult, but having practiced that and having found a different piece outside of myself, and finding a different way to come up with a different self-concept has been really important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some pictures. I did a watercolor set recently of a 6-stage model. I have actually starting a treatment program called Real Me Life Training. It's realmelifetraining.com. And I have a 6-stage model, and then the center is changing your identity from the eating disorder to self. And then you'll see stages 1 through 6. That's the stages of development and recovery of an eating disorder, and going through that process over and over again. And always maintaining awareness, because even I think I'm mostly recovered. I'm doing therapy with other people. I'm starting a treatment program, but I still maintain an awareness of myself. And so that's what it really is about, is maintaining an awareness and recognizing that it's normal to go through that over and over again, but eventually you have to find a different way to identify yourself. So here you go.
Know what's worth fighting for when it's not worth dying for? Does it take your breath away and you feel yourself suffocating? Does the